All right, before the Klavanless weekend begins and plunges you into, despair and chaos, I just want to end with a final reflection about a piece I read in the Washingtonian, which I believe is a very left-wing journal. But anyway, it's by Anonymous, and it's called "What Happened After My 13-Year-Old Son Joined the Alt-Right." And the part that I want to talk about is that she's a liberal. She has the son, Sam. He's 13 years old. He's in the 8th grade. He was part of the kind of, edgy, left-wing, sensitive group, that there was a gay guy and people talking about being trans and all this stuff. Anyway, one morning he's sitting around with a pal, and both of them guys, and they make a kind of double entendre joke. One of them makes a double entendre joke, and Sam laughs. And a girl at the table overhears their private conversation, misconstrues it, and reports it as sexual harassment. Sam's guidance counselor pulls him out of his class, accuses him of breaking the law. He is sent from empty room to empty room, kept away from anybody who can advise him, told that the things he said were illegal, and that he has to write a statement of guilt. No one called his parents. He's basically just tormented. Sam cried for about 6 hours straight as staff members parked him in vacant offices to keep him away from other students. When he came home and his mom asked him why his eyes were swollen, he said that he would probably be suspended, but he might also be expelled and arrested. It was a Kafkaesque experience, and they had to move to another school, another community, where he found online pals, right, on Reddit and 4chan. And you know where I'm going. They're alt-right Nazis, and they tell him that all girls lie about rape, and they have also other things they want to tell him. They tell him that Islam is an inherently violent religion. Jews run the global financial networks. He himself is Jewish, by the way. And she says, we're Jewish, I didn't run anything. The wage gap is a fallacy. Feminazis are destroying families, and people need guns to protect themselves, all the things this woman hates. And he ultimately becomes alt-right. What struck me about this story, and I do think it's horrific. I think the alt-right is a alternative to conservatism in the worst possible sense of those words. But how much of what they said is true? So much of it, what they said, is true, and the truth sets you free, right? Islam may not be an inherently religion, but the question of inherently violent religion, but the question of whether it's inherently violent is important. It's certainly not a religion of peace. It's a religion that's cancerous with violence, and whether that's inherent to their beliefs is something for experts to debate and discuss. But when you say, oh no, it's a religion of peace, this guy's a lone wolf, this guy's a lone wolf. Every Islamic terrorist is a lone wolf, but every right-wing terrorist is, of course, indicative of the evil of the right wing. If you tell people to believe all women and you find out that women, being human beings, lie like everybody else, if you tell people that, if you let feminazis be the voice of your movement and then say, oh, well, they're not real, that's not feminism. Feminism is about choice, when all you hear is, no, you don't have a choice. Feminazis are the most powerful voice in feminism. And even when you talk about not looking at culture, if you say, well, you can't talk about the fact that Jews are an incredibly successful minority. They are. And that means that they're going to be bad guys at successful levels like Bernie Madoff, and they're going to be good guys at successful levels like all the Jewish doctors who have healed so many diseases and who heal so many people, that they're going to be people like that. If you put the truth in the hands of haters, this is basically what I want to say. If you put the truth in the hands of haters, then haters have the power of truth at their command. That's why I feel like when you talk about feminazis, when you talk about the fact that some women lie, that men are not rapists per se, when you talk about these things and they shut you down and they kick you off Twitter and they kick you off Facebook, they just give the haters the power of the truth. And even worse, they make the truth a secret. And the people who hold that secret have all the power. And that is why the truth matters. And that is why censorship is almost always, always wrong. And that is why free speech matters so incredibly, incredibly much. And that is why the people who think that they are saving humanity by silencing the Alex Joneses of the world are in fact giving tremendous power, putting tremendous power into Alex Jones's hands. And that is why we're going to keep telling the truth right here on The Andrew Klavan Show. I'm Andrew Klavan. I will see you on Monday. If you survive the Klavanless weekend, I give you about a 50-50 chance. See you then.